Welcome to the 2015-2016 Club 1 volleyball season. My name is Bree Isaacson and I am the club director.
And my name is Bridget Hack and I'm the business manager. We put together this informational video in the hopes to give everybody all of the information with questions that you may have now that your child has been selected to the program. So please view the video all the way through, and of course if you have any other questions you can let us know.
Also, just so you guys know, we have a handbook that will be accessible online, and all of the information that Bridget and I discussed today can be found there. So if you need more clarity on something, please check there or feel free to reach out to us directly. For youth, all of our youth teams will begin the week of November 16th, so practices will begin that week. An exact practice schedule will come out shortly after tryouts. We do have that practice schedule pretty locked down, so if somebody needs something specifically, feel free to ask us, but we don't like to put it out in its entirety until the tryouts are over and our families have committed to the program. High school practices will begin the week of November 30th, so we will start the week after Thanksgiving. One thing that we want to mention is that Club 1 Volleyball is a part of USA Volleyball and AAU, so you need registrations for both. Your AAU registration, if you had one with us or another club from last season, has already expired. However, your USAV registration right now is current for the youth and can take you through the tryout. However, for our high school programs, it expires on October 31st. So one thing that Bridget and I are asking is that prior to the first practice, depending on your youth or high school, all registrations need to be updated and current regardless if your card has expired. So when our youth start November 16th or our high school starts November 30th, your USAV must be updated to the 2015-2016 season as well as your AAU membership.
And just going on that, in our packet of information that I'll explain more at the end, we do have a sheet specific to registrations. It'll give you the links, the club codes, and everything that you need.
And one thing, just so you're familiar with cost, a USAV registration for 12 months is $55. If you pay the tryout fee just for the membership through USAV, then you'll have to go back in and you'll have to update it. That amount that you paid for the tryout fee gets deducted from the $55. If you already have a current membership and you don't use one for the tryout, you'll have to pay the full $55 when you renew, and an AAU membership is $16. So just so you have an idea on what the cost you'll incur there. To go over some basics of practices, players should arrive 15 minutes before practice begins. We certainly have the doors open sooner than that, but we want our athletes to be able to come in, to get dressed, to get ready, to go to the bathroom, to talk to whoever they need to talk to, and then be able to start practice on time. We only get 2 hours, so we want to make sure that we maximize that. We ask that if a player is going to be late, that they contact the coach directly prior to them being late. So, in the beginning, before teams are selected, you could reach out to Bridget or myself, and we will pass the message along. Once the coach is selected, then your daughter or you wouldn't have a son, you would only have a daughter. Your daughter would reach out directly to their coach. We do allow our athletes to have 3 excused absences, and those absences are, family related, whatever it is, a grandma's in town, a 90th birthday, something like that. After those 3 absences occur, playing time could be affected. So one thing that we have at Club 1 is the ability to make up those practices. The only requirement with that is you need to make it up with a grade level 1 higher than what you are. So if your daughter is in a 13U program and she needs to make up a practice, she would make it up with the 14s. We wouldn't want her to make it up with the 12s because we want her to maximize that practice time. You do not have to make up any practices as long as you stay within the 3, but even if you only miss 1 and would like to make it up, we always welcome our athletes to do that. And all you need to do is just contact the coach, and the coach will pass it along to the age group that you're going up to practice in. The only real exception that we have to that is multiple sport athletes, and we'll touch base on that a little bit later. We do require our athletes to wear Club 1 practice t-shirts. Spandex shirts need to be tucked in, hair needs to be put back. knee pads, socks, and shoes. All of that will be given to you in the package. But until Club One t-shirts are handed out for families who have not been with us before, any athletic t-shirt will do. If you're a returning Club One family, any of your past practice t-shirts will work as well. We also ask that our athletes don't wear their volleyball shoes outside. Unfortunately, things get in them and they bring them back in the gym. It ruins the shoes as well as our floor. Practices are closed to our families except for the first Monday of every month. And there's a couple reasons that we have this. This is not intended to be negative in nature or exclusive. It's simply that we want, number one, to make sure that we have a strong relationship between our athlete and our coaches. And number two, Club One unfortunately just simply does not have enough space for all of the families to be in there along with the kids. As you'll see, as one practice ends and another begins, oftentimes we have kids doing cardio series, plyos, things like that on the outsides of the court. So with the girls working outside the court, the kids on the courts, we just don't have the room. So if something comes up and there's a concern about practice or something like that, please reach out to Bridget and myself. But our families are always welcome to come in on the first Monday of the month. Multiple sport athletes. We encourage our athletes to be involved in multiple things, especially our youth. We know that they really haven't decided what they want to do yet. And as moms with several children, we know that
Too many.
we know that, you know, it's hard for a 12-year-old to decide what they're going to do or what they're going to be good at or what they're going to even love in a couple years. So we definitely encourage our athletes to do as many things as they want to do and they can do. However, we just ask that, number one, a schedule of another sport is given to the coach, both practice and tournament. And we also ask that the same effort is made for our teams as it is for the other teams that your daughter might be on. So if your daughter has to come late and she can only come for 30 minutes of practice, we ask her to do that. If she has to arrive late, you know, we ask them to do that also. So as long as there's, you know, good effort on both sides, you know, we're happy to support that as well. As far as tournaments go, for many of our families who have been with us for a long time, it's the same. You know, for new families, I want to give you just a breakdown of kind of how it works. Currently, our tournament schedule right now is 99% done. What Bridget and I have to do now is we have to wait for confirmations from all the host sites that we've been accepted into those events. And some confirm immediately, some take a little bit of time. This is still fairly early in the tournament process. Once we get confirmation, we will immediately give it to our families because we want you guys to be able to plan as well. For both youth and high school, no tournaments will begin until after January 1st. We may have an in-house scrimmage, you know, we may scrimmage against a different club, but we would not have an actual tournament until into January. Once you get that tournament schedule from us, it's set for the entire year with the exception of a very rare cancellation. And last year we did have one because of the crazy snow that came in. But I can tell you in all the years that we've been doing this, that's the only time I can actually remember it's happened. So once you have the tournament schedule, you can plan. The one thing you may not know is the start time of the event. And I want to talk about that a little bit so parents can understand. When we enter into a tournament, they confirm our registration, and then we kind of wait until it gets a little bit closer to the event. In single day events, typically the host site does not email out the start times until the Wednesday before the event. So if you are playing on Saturday, you will know you're playing on Saturday, you will have that on your calendar, but you probably will not know until Wednesday before if you are an 8 a.m. start, a 9 a.m. start, or oftentimes an afternoon start. Once we get that information, we will blast it out to the coaches as well as our families. One rule of thumb that it's important for our families just to kind of know is if you play at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, the general rule of thumb is that you arrive 1 hour before you play. And then in club volleyball, we have officiating duties, and that's true for all clubs and all teams. If you officiate the first round, you need to arrive 45 minutes before your officiating duty. Our athletes would never have to up officiate, but they may have to provide a down, a lines, and a scores table. We as a coaching staff will make sure our kids are properly prepared to do that at the first event. One thing that's important to know is that all athletes have to stay until all officiating duties are complete. So if you lose your last round, typically you have to ref. Please know and account for that no athlete can leave until everybody's done officiating. We do ask that you respect a host site's food policy. I can tell you that of all of the places that we've been over the years, I do not know of a single facility who allows outside food in the building. So please plan for that. The region has taken a strong stance to support those facilities, and if someone is caught with outside food, they have been removing both players and parents. So make sure that if you need to eat something specific or you want to eat something specific, that you do that outside the building, in your car. When it's nice outside, you can certainly do that outside on the grass. You just cannot bring outside food in. However, if you have a specific allergy or something like that that prevents your daughter from being able to eat food that's offered, if you email Bridget and myself, we'll be able to contact that host site directly and set up some sort of a plan to do so. One other quick thing about tournaments, just so you guys can plan now, on average we play about 2 times a month. So it's tournament style, you're guaranteed at least 3 matches wherever you go. Sometimes it ends there, sometimes you play till there's a champion with a quarter, a semi, and a final. But you'll play on average 2 times a month, January through June. Team selection will take place after several weeks of practice, just so you know. So when athletes are selected into our program, they are not placed on teams. We don't evaluate athletes off of one day. We evaluate them off of several days and weeks of practice. So once our rosters are complete, that will be communicated to our families, and then you'll be able to look at your tournament schedule to know what exact events pertain to you. One thing that I also want to touch on is playing time. This is obviously a sensitive subject for all of our families. Coaches ultimately determine how much an athlete plays and in what position that they play. And there's a lot of thought and effort that goes into it, and it's evaluated over several weeks of practice, months, all of those things. We set up our teams so that every athlete has an opportunity to play. However, it's our expectation that athletes are showing up to practice and they're giving 100% when they are there. If they are not, their playtime will be reflected in that. So if your son, what in the world? It's because I have all these boys. I mean, geez, if your daughter, I mean, goodness, I do have a daughter, but if your daughter isn't getting the playtime that she wants, then ultimately she needs to discuss directly with the coach first. And they have a good relationship and they're working with the athletes every day in practice, and it's an open door, and we don't ever want our athletes to feel like they can't talk with their coach. If after a certain amount of time, it sort of hasn't resolved itself, then the coach and the families and the daughter, myself or Bridget, can all sit down and try to come to some resolution. But it's important to know that we have to unfortunately have more than 6 on a team, and so playing time isn't really ever going to be equal. So everybody's going to have a role, and we're going to include everybody, and we're going to give opportunities for everybody, and especially at the youth, we're going to train kids in all positions because we don't know where they're going to end up, later on. But that, working hard and committing and being to practice are all really important things to allow an athlete to get more play time. Please remember that our coaches dedicate many, many hours to working with the teams, and unfortunately, it's not a field where they make a ton of money doing so. So while our athletes or our coaches will never embarrass your daughter, we ask that you as families don't do that to our coaches as well. We did this year put in one additional clause into our parent expectation section. This can be found in the handbook as well as the contract. I think it's in the contract.
It is.
Just to go over it, and while we have been very fortunate and blessed at Club One to have great families, it's just a good reminder that not everything always is going to go our way. Officials are not always going to have their best days. You may play a team that doesn't have great sportsmanship on the other side, and so we're asking this of our families, to always be respectful of the club coaches and players, to demonstrate good sportsmanship at practices and tournaments to not only Club One players and families, but other teams, coaches, and officials as well, to support the development of each player on each team. And it happens differently, for different athletes at different times. And the new part we added is about bad mouthing and slanderous remarks at Club One, its coaches, or its organization will result in immediate termination with no refund. So if there's something going on, certainly we want you to reach out and talk to us. And in most situations, we can help rectify those situations. But we just ask that in the moment when something isn't going right, that we continue to respect all the people who are playing the sport, all the families of Club One, all the families of the other clubs, and try to do the right thing. We at Club One have something that's called mid-season evaluations, and mid-season evaluations are done with the coach, the athlete and the parent if the parent wants to attend. For girls, it normally happens end of November. No, that would be boys.
Really,
End of oh my gosh, jeez, end of February, beginning of March. That would be considered mid-season.
Yeah.
And what happens is we have a very general form, and it goes to all of our coaches, and it evaluates passing, setting, attacking, serving, effort, attitude, something that your daughter's doing great and something that they need to work on. We do that because we think it's a good opportunity for our families to kind of know what we're seeing on a regular basis in the gym. We will send out an email to our families. We will invite them to come in. The one thing I do want to say is the mid-season eval really is to last about 5 minutes. And it's a great opportunity to ask questions. But if you have like 25 questions that you have asked, it's probably not the right time to do it at the mid-season eval because we do stack them back to back, sort of similar to a conference at school. However, if you decide that you really don't need to come in or don't want to come in, that mid-season eval will be had with your daughter and your coach, and then your daughter will bring home the form. So all you need to do is take a look at it. You can discuss it with her directly. If you want to attend, great. If not, no big deal. It'll be had either way. As far as travel goes, I just kind of want to break this down for youth and for high school. Again, this will be on your travel schedule, tournament schedule once you get it, but just so you have a general idea, our 12U program does not travel at all. So other than the events that are on their schedule, typically Bridget and I kind of determined that you wouldn't go any further than about an hour on your tournament schedule in any one direction. We are fortunate that there's great volleyball all around us, and so sometimes things will be local, maybe at Club One or at the Great Lakes Center in Aurora. Sometimes it might be a little further in Schaumburg or Chicago, but really the general rule would be about an hour in any direction. Our 13s and 14s, based on the team that they're selected for, will either go to St. Louis or Wisconsin Dells. Okay, so that's the only travel event. There's one that they have, with the exception of 14 Elite. And 14 Elite this year will go to St. Louis, and they will go to the AAU National Championships in Orlando, Florida. So that information will come out to them once teams are selected. Our 15s through 18s, they go to Indy, which is the Indianapolis National Qualifier, and they do go to Florida, the AAU National Championships at the end of the season. So that's been kind of standard for our high school program. What will happen is for the USAV events, which are St. Louis, Indy, Wisconsin Dells, with things like that, they have what's called a state of play policy. We do not get to pick where our families stay. So USA Volleyball will tell us where we get to stay, and we book rooms through the hotel that they've selected for us. We have to meet the minimum requirement of rooms, otherwise we are not eligible to play in the event. So once we get past the tryouts, once we get the practice schedule out and the tournament schedule out, you will get a travel letter from Bridget and myself that will explain what hotel's been selected for us and how you will go ahead and register or what's the word, Bridge? Reserve your room. So it's really specific. It just tells you you do this, you do that, you get a confirmation. That way you can call the hotel directly to make sure you've got it, make sure you have a fridge reserved, anything that you need. But we will get you that information. For AAU Florida, at this time, it is not state of play. However, what we try to do is provide a room block for our families. So if you want to stay where where maybe our coaches are staying or where we've secured rooms, you can. However, you can also choose to stay at a different hotel if that works best for your family.
One thing with that is just please make specific note to the deadline dates on travel. There's been a lot of times where people miss that, and if rooms aren't available, you're a little bit out of luck. You have to go on a waiting list. It's a little bit stressful. So when we send it out, you'll know it's kind of coming. Please just try to take care of it as soon as you can.
Yeah. And one other thing that I want to mention is in your tuition, you will have a travel fee, and that travel fee covers the expense for the tournament fee, the insurance, the coach's per diem, any fees that we incur to attend the event. However, our athletes stay with our families, and we decided this several years back. It's important the athletes are getting good sleep, that they're making great food choices, and essentially that they're safe. So when you pay that travel fee, that will not include your hotel room or wherever it is that you're staying, or the food that you guys will have when you're there, anything you choose to do. So just so you know, your daughter will be staying with you at any and all events that you attend. A couple other things that I just need to go over. And then I'll let Bridget go ahead and take it over. We partnered with Nike this year. We're really excited. Bridget's going to talk a little bit about that. But one thing that I want to say is we will have an online store this year where you can purchase some Nike gear. We also have used Janner Sports in the past. So once we kind of get through the next couple weeks, we'll get that information out. The sooner the better, so that you guys can have your stuff in time for our matches beginning in January. Another thing that I just want to touch base on is, people ask about private lessons all the time. Obviously, when the athletes are in season, we feel confident that they're getting the necessary training. However, if you need something additional or choose to want something additional, you can contact myself or Bridget, and we can help you find someone who would be available for that. A couple other things we do. Obviously, we have a website which we post information on there. Any cancellations that would happen, tournament schedules, practice schedules, major announcements, team successes, anything like that will get posted on our website. So we ask that you check it often. We also have a Facebook page, and we post everything on there as well as an Instagram page. So Bridget and I are trying to get with the 2000s and get the information out as fast as we can. We already know we're behind, so now we need to start tweeting, but we're going to try to do that. Maybe we'll have a kid do it for us. Yeah. So, but we do try to post it as many ways as possible, as well as we send blasts out of our Sport Engine site. So, or our Oasis site, or different things that we have. So just know that we'll communicate as many ways as we can, but those are important places to check for information. And Flight, Club One, our home, we don't always have a ton of parking. This does not necessarily pertain to practices, because the buildings that are around us are typically done for the day when we come in for practice, but we do at times host tournaments, and parking can be a little bit crazy. We want to make our families aware that you can park on the side of Club One where the garages are. You can park in front of Club One where the actual building reads Club One. And then you can park on Coil Plus Drive, which is the street that runs behind us. And you can also park in the Public Works building. You cannot park down in different buildings in that same stretch where the bounce up used to be. However, that's a workout facility now. There's a music place down there. There's different things. We cannot park down there. So please make sure you don't do that so you don't get a ticket or towed. But there is plenty of parking around our facility for times that we host. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hand it over to Bridget to talk financials and all those things. One last thing that I just want to mention, and I may have mentioned it, but 22 minutes ago, I can't remember what I said. So when we start practices the week of the 16th for youth or the 30th for high school, all registrations and paperwork must be submitted for that player to be eligible to start practice. So as we go through our parent meeting and as we look online, we would contact you to let you know. But just so nobody's caught off guard, we need to have all of those things wrapped up so that that player is eligible to start. And if they're missing something and we've reached out, and we typically send blasts, and then we send individual emails to families. Just know that that first practice, if you are missing something and we don't have it, you could be getting a call home that says, hey, I'm missing this, and we need to get that taken care of before practices can start. So if there's any confusion about, what if you've done everything, please reach out to Bridget or myself so we can confirm so everybody's good to go on that first day. All right, I'm handing it over to Bridget. She'll keep it shorter than I did.
She's so happy. Her part is done. Okay. I'm going to go over financials. I'm going to go over uniform. I'm going to go over fundraising. And then what I'm going to quickly go over is what the next things that you would expect watching this video. This year, as many of you know who are returning to us, and if you're new to us, you don't really know, but I'm going to tell you, we have a new system. We've used Oasis in the past, and we're using Sport Engine this year. So it's a little bit different with the registration than it was in the past. So I just want to take a little bit of time to go through how that works. Just to give a very brief, overview, all of the financial in the paperwork, you'll have a financial agreement, which is going to kind of break down what the fees are. But just to give a brief overview, Our 12s is $12.95 for the tuition. As Bree mentioned, they don't travel. Our 13s and 14s is $14.95 plus $2.10 for the travel fee. And our 15 through 18s is $18.95 plus $5.95 for the travel fee. So when you look at the financial agreement, it will show you what those total fees are. You'll be going through the paperwork, and you would go through that initial what that is. The one thing with this system this year, which is a little different, and I'm going to say this now and then I'll kind of reiterate it at the end, but watching this video will be the first step so that you're aware of everything. The next step is going to be clicking on the registration link to register your daughter for the program. All of you set up a Sport Engine account for the tryout, but the way that Sport Engine works is there's a different link for the actual registering of a program. So some people were getting confused with the boys, and I've learned, being a month in now, that they're like, I already have an account. I cannot put you into a program. You would log back into Sport Engine when you go to the link that I'll provide you, and you'll go through the steps, and you will then choose the program, whether they're 12, 13, 14, etc. Once you do that, it's going to allow you to choose your payment options. What's different this year from last year is that if you choose to pay by credit card, whether it's in full or in installments, it will store your credit card and it will automatically run on the due dates. So for example, nothing has changed in terms of what we offer. We offer up to 5 payments. So when the meeting takes place and you've committed to the program, the day of the meeting, you have options. You would either pay a deposit, and then you've chose payment plans. You can pay in full, but you would make that selection in the Sport Engine account. One thing with our installments, same as last year, if you pay in full, or if you pay the deposit and then the balance in full by your next installment, which would be either November 1st for youth or December 1st for high school, you will not incur any administrative fees. If you choose to make anything over 2, you would then incur an administrative fee of $30 per payment. So if you make 3 payments, it would be $60, and that would be for payment 2 and 3. There's no fee for the first one. It would be $90 if you make 4, and it would be $120 if you make 5 payments. So one way to avoid any administrative fees would be to pay it in full or by paying the balance by October 1st. If you do use a credit card, it is set up in Sport Engine system that the balance, there's a 2.9% fee charged for all. It's a credit card transaction fee. And the way that the system works is when you register, regardless if you choose for full or payments, that 2.9 of your total due is charged up front. And then the installment fees would be added to that payment. So one way to avoid credit card fees, not necessarily administrative fees, would be to pay by check. So the last option in there you'll see is offline. And what that would mean is if you choose offline, it'll allow you to register your daughter for the program. You'll be able to check out. She'll be in our system. And then you would bring a check to the parent meeting. And if you want to set up to mail checks on a monthly basis, really what we ask is that you bring post-dated checks. I attach it to your file so that you don't have to worry about it. They'll be cashed on the due date. The $30 administrative fee, though, does still apply to those installments. You just would avoid the 2.9%. So I was confused when I got through it the first time. Bree still doesn't know what's going on. So
I'm talking boys.
Yeah, you're talking boys. So please know that if that is confusing in any way, when you come to the parent meeting, which I'll explain later when that is, you can ask me specifically. Once you put store the credit card information in the system, it's in the system. It's a little bit difficult to get it out, but if you do change your mind, you pay with credit card and change your mind, please let me know and I can figure that out for you.
Sure.
So that would be, that's the way the system works. Now, it's a very good and efficient system once you have it set up, because then there's nothing more that you'll have to do or anything like that, but it's a little bit confusing because it's new. So that, I think, is everything with with the fee. So to avoid paying fees, please make sure if you want to pay with check, you choose the offline option. Uniform is, in the past, we've collected money for uniform. This year, you'll be ordering it directly through the Nike store and the Nike site. So once we have the samples, we'll have a try-on like we always have had in the past. You will get information on how to order, and there will be a deadline date. So you'll go in, you'll go to the store, you'll choose everything. This year, our package, and remind me if I miss anything, our package is going to contain 2 jerseys, your spandex, your warm-up jacket, your warm-up pant, your backpack, your socks, and your shoes. So really, minus and practice t-shirts, right? So minus your knee pads, everything is included in the package. The package price for everything is $390, and they will ship it directly to your home.
And that's one thing that we learned with the boys. We are excited to partner with Nike, and we get some benefits for doing so. And we're going to have a little store over at the club. And the actual price, if you went and bought all of those things that we got, would be well over $500. And so we're excited because, we want to look like a team, and we're getting a quality product. And that's something that Bridget and I have tossed around over the years. If you've been with us, we've had different products, and we've tried to save money, and we've tried to, do different things. But ultimately, we want to look like a team. We want to have things that are good for our kids to wear. We'll make sure their feet are taken care of, all important parts. So when we went with this Nike, we're really, really excited. But the one thing that Bridget and I didn't really know a ton of was that when you order that package, as I did already for my son, you're going to get hit with taxes and you're going to get hit with shipping. And I just want to make that very clear. It's wonderful because it's going to go directly to your house. Oftentimes Bridget and I would spend hours upon hours sorting and fixing and handing out, and we were using practice time to do so. So we're very excited. But the cost of it is $390. We just don't want anyone to be confused or surprised when they go to order the package that there's a tax and that there's a shipping fee, so that you can prepare for that as well. So just so everybody's on the same page.
Correct. So the last thing I have to talk about before we tell you the final steps would be fundraising. And so many families, obviously this is a lot of information to take in. We like the video. We've done it in person in the past, but we like the video because it allows you the time to just kind of sit in the comfort of your own home, look at things, understand what is coming from before you make this commitment. But a lot of people ask, and how can I offset my fees with a little help with some sort of fundraising? And we have run this fundraiser for quite a few years now, and it's been very, very successful and has helped many, many families. And we'll be doing the same thing again. And the way our fundraiser works is we require all families to sell 10 raffle tickets, and each raffle ticket is $10. Our ultimate prize, or all our prizes for the most part, are monetary prizes. And in the past, it's always been a $10,000 first prize, $2,500 for second, and $1,000 for third. Sometimes we have some gift cards or some little $100 prizes, depending on how many are sold. But the first 10 or $100 is a mandatory raffle and required. That money that comes back to us, people ask us a lot of times, that's to help us. We purchased new nets with that last year, additional balls, ball carts, things that we need, equipment with training that we've had people jump boxes, etc. Setting machines. That's what we use that money for, and that's helpful. But the great thing about this fundraiser is that's all we're really asking of our families. Anything over the initial 10 that you sell would be 100% back to you. So if you were to sell 50 tickets, 10 tickets or $100 would go to the club, and $400 would go as a credit to you. Now, I want to make very clear how the credits work, because this is a not-for-profit. There's guidelines we have to follow. The raffle will run from the time we receive the tickets, which we'll send out an email for people to pick up the tickets before, so they can start selling them, because the season doesn't start for a little bit. But it runs till usually right before Christmas, usually the Sunday before. Once the ticket is pulled, we have to wait for all of the winners to collect their prizes. We then have to file some paperwork with different entities, and once that is all done, the refund or credit will be applied. So just so everybody knows, you're selling the tickets now, but typically it won't happen until the middle of January, end of January. So For our youth, you'll have an initial payment on October 1, and if you choose up to 5 payments, your last payment would be February 1. With high school, your last payment would be March 1. So at that time, at the conclusion of the raffle, and once I get approval to send out credits or refunds, if you have any dollar amount due on your account, a credit would be applied. But as I say this as we speak, everybody's going to be getting a refund check because I can't make the adjustments in Sport Engine. So, with that said, everybody will receive.
You learn as we go, people.
We learn as we go, and literally in the moment. Everybody will be receiving a refund check. So if your account is paid in full, or if you still have a balance on your account, what you sell over the first 10 would come 100% back to you. And we have had people literally almost cover their entire fee or a good portion of it with this.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, Bridget's, when this comes down and we get all this stuff in, and her sole goal is to get that money back to our families as fast as we can.
Absolutely.
As mothers of 8 children combined, we know how important that is, and we're all budgeting and trying to make this happen. As she stated, with the IRS and different things, we are limited to when we can do it. So as soon as we get the green light to go, you will get the check. So just know that. But just know that, unfortunately, the minute the drawing happens, we are not able to just all of a sudden send a check. But we will communicate with our families. We will know when those will come in, and you'll get those as soon as we possibly can.
Right. So if you were to, that money would come to 100% in the form of a refund check. So I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
Wow, that was good. All right, so let me just tell you how the next steps will work in the process. You've already completed the tryout. You already know that your daughter's number has been chosen, and you're watching the video. Online, we'll have the full steps of what it is you need to do next. So after completing watching the video, you're going to make sure that you get your daughter registered, choose your payment plan. Then please follow those. It's printing out paperwork. It's instructions on how to do your registrations, anything that you possibly need. On Monday, the day after, October 5th, we'll be hosting an open house from 4:45 to 7:15 at Club 1. You do not have to be there the entire time. You have to just stop in anytime between those hours. At that time, we will be collecting your paperwork, and we will also at that time be just going through that checklist with you, which is part of the paperwork that you'll see, and making sure that we have everything. If you're going to be paying with check, that's when you'll be bringing in the check. If you have any specific financial questions, please make sure that you come in my line, and we can talk about those, and we would collect everything. After the video, one thing that's very important that we ask everybody to do is there is a noon deadline to commit to our program. So once you've watched this video and you've made a decision, one way or the other, we ask that, and my email address will be on there, that you shoot an email saying, this is so-and-so and my daughter, or if your daughter does it, and I will be committing to the program. It's very important for us to have numbers. It's also very important for us because we can reach out to those on our alternate list if you choose to not commit to the program.
We will also tell the athletes that it'll be on the sheet, but sometimes for whatever reason, everybody becomes busy and it sometimes gets left off. And the thing is that after that 12 o'clock deadline on Monday, the 5th, Bridget and I will start reaching out to additional people if there is any space in the program. Right. And unfortunately, if you don't commit, there's a chance that there won't be a spot. So we just ask that once you get that commitment in, and we can communicate, with if you have a conflict with that meeting night, or you need to drop it off a little bit earlier, or a little bit later, we can make those things work. But if we don't have your daughter committed to the program, we will reach out to other families, and and there is a possibility that there won't be a spot once we do, get in touch with you. So please just make sure you send an email by noon, and then we'll be able to get the ball rolling.
And one more thing that I forgot to mention with the fundraiser, we do know that at times people don't want to participate in the fundraising. Yeah. They would rather just opt out of it. So we do offer an opt-out option. Again, all of this is on the paperwork, so you would be able to read through it, but I just wanted to mention it. You can choose to opt out, and it's just a $75 fee. you would just pay the $75 and then you wouldn't receive raffle tickets and you wouldn't be a part of the raffle. If you choose to opt out, the only thing that I ask is that you bring that opt-out payment to the meeting. And it's a $75 fee, either in a check or cash. We can't take credit card for the opt-out. But if you choose to opt out, you would check that on your checklist and then just bring that payment in.
Yeah.
So because sometimes people don't want to do it, so we offer that as well.
For sure.
But all of this is going to be on our webpage. The girls they have already tried out. They should know it too. But please follow those steps. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us.
Awesome. So we're looking forward to a great year. We'd like to welcome several new families to the Club One family, and returning families welcome back for another year. We're extremely excited to get started, and we're looking forward to a great season.
And you didn't have to sit and do this in person. You got to do it at home.
You can make food while you're listening.
This is our fourth one. We're becoming pros, just so everybody knows.
Might take a business up somewhere.
Yeah, and we're mortified watching ourselves while we do this, just so you all know.
We hope everybody has a great night. We look forward to seeing our families on Monday and having a great season.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.